Night fell quietly over the small town, its streets lit by soft yellow lamps and the distant glow of stars. Children laughed and played in front yards and empty streets, enjoying the cool summer breeze. Among them was Timmy, a small boy with brown hair and big, curious eyes. He kicked a ball back and forth with his friend, his laughter ringing out into the night. The air was peaceful and warm, and no one expected that tonight would be different. In the sky, a strange light appeared, almost like a falling star. It grew brighter and brighter until the children stopped playing and looked up, their mouths open in wonder. The light was not a star. It was a ship, large and silent, shaped like a silver disk. It hovered above the trees for a moment as if it was looking for something. Then, with a sudden flash, it came closer, making no noise at all. Timmy was standing alone now. His friend had run inside to tell his parents. He looked up, frozen in place as the ship landed in a small empty lot. The ship's door opened slowly, and from the bright light stepped tall figures. They were green, with long arms and large dark eyes that shone like black mirrors. Their faces were smooth and cold, without any feeling. They moved like shadows, quiet and fast. Timmy tried to run, but his legs felt heavy, as if the air around him had turned into water. The aliens moved closer, their long fingers reaching out. They didn't speak or make any sound. Timmy's heart pounded in his chest, and he felt a cold fear take over his body. He wanted to scream for his parents, but no words came out. Yaw. Alien's touch was cold like ice as they lifted him from the ground. The last thing he saw was the open door of the ship, a bright light that swallowed him whole. Then the door closed and the ship rose into the air, leaving behind only a soft humming sound. In an instant, it was gone, lost in the dark sky. People in the town had seen the bright light. Some ran outside looking up in confusion. They saw nothing but the stars and the quiet night. Timmy's mother, Sarah, called his name over and over, her voice shaking with fear. She ran to the empty lot, her husband close behind. But there was no sign of their son, only the grass flattened by the ship's weight. The police came quickly, their cars lighting up the night with flashing red and blue. Officers searched the area, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. They found small marks on the ground like something heavy had stood there, but nothing else. They asked everyone what they saw, but the answers were the same. A light, a shadow, and then nothing. Sarah held a small shoe in her hand, the only thing left behind. She pressed it to her chest, her eyes wide with horror. Her husband wrapped his arm around her, trying to comfort her, but his face was pale and scared too. The other parents took their children inside, holding them tight, whispering words of comfort. Rumors spread quickly through the town. Some said it was a helicopter or a secret army plane. Others whispered about aliens and monsters from the stars, but no one really knew. They only knew that a boy had disappeared without a trace. The police promised to keep searching, but in their hearts they felt powerless. They searched the woods and the riverbanks, calling out Timmy's name into the darkness. The night seemed to swallow their voices, and no answers came back. The chief of police, an old man named Harris, stood staring at the stars, feeling small and helpless. Timmy's mother refused to leave the lot, her eyes on the sky. She kept calling her son's name, her voice soft and full of hope. But there was only silence. The town felt colder that night, as if something had changed forever. Far above the earth, in the darkness of space, the ship flew silently. Timmy sat in a small metal room, shaking with fear. The walls were smooth and silver, and the light was cold and white. He didn't understand where he was or why these creatures had taken him. He thought of his mother's face, her kind eyes and warm hugs. He wanted to go home, but the aliens didn't seem to care. One of them stood in the doorway, its black eyes watching him. It didn't move or speak, just stared as if trying to decide what to do. Timmy hugged his knees and closed his eyes, trying to be brave. He didn't cry out loud, but tears slipped down his cheeks. In his heart, he promised himself he would find a way home. Back in the town, the lights of the police cars slowly faded as the searchers grew tired. But Sarah stayed awake, sitting by the window, staring at the stars. She whispered a promise to the night. I will find you, Timmy, no matter what. The town slept uneasily, the memory of the bright light and the lost boy haunting their dreams. And above them the ship carried Timmy farther and farther away, into the deep dark of the unknown. Timmy woke up slowly, his head feeling heavy. He was lying on a cold metal floor. The room around him was silver and smooth, the walls shining with soft white lights. There were no windows, only a small door in one corner. Timmy's heart started beating fast. He didn't know where he was. He tried to stand up, but his legs were shaking. The last thing he remembered was the bright light and the cold hands pulling him away. Now everything was quiet. He looked around, trying to understand. The room was empty except for a small table, with strange shapes and buttons on it. The air smelled sharp and clean like metal. Timmy rubbed his eyes and took a deep breath. "Hello?" he called out in a small voice. No one answered. He felt alone, more alone than he had ever felt. His mind was full of questions. Where was he? Who were those green creatures? Why did they take him? Suddenly the door opened with a soft hiss. Timmy jumped back, his heart in his throat. 2 aliens came in. They were tall and thin, their skin a pale green. Their heads were smooth and hairless, their big black eyes staring without blinking. They wore tight suits that shimmered in the light. One of the aliens stepped closer to Timmy. It didn't speak. It just looked at him, its eyes dark and empty. Timmy's small hands clenched into fists. He tried to look brave, but he was shaking inside. The alien raised one long finger and pointed at the table. Timmy didn't understand. He shook his head, backing away. The alien made a soft sound, like a sigh. It pressed a button on the table, and a bright blue light filled the room. Timmy closed his eyes against the brightness. When he opened them again, he saw images in the air, moving pictures of Earth, forests, oceans, and people. It was like a dream, but it felt real. The alien pointed at the pictures and then at Timmy, as if asking him something. Timmy didn't know what to say. "Home," he whispered. "I want to go home." The alien tilted its head, studying him. It pressed another button, and the pictures changed to stars and planets, deep, dark space. Timmy started to cry. He didn't want to see stars. He wanted to see his mother's face, his father's smile. But the aliens didn't care. They only wanted to learn. The second alien took out a small box and pointed it at Timmy. A soft blue light scanned his body, making him feel cold all over. He tried to move away, but the alien held his arm gently but firmly. Timmy felt like a small animal in a cage. He remembered the rule his mother always told him: be brave, no matter what. He took a deep breath and tried to stop shaking. Then, something strange happened. A third alien entered the room. She was different. Her skin was the same green color, but her eyes were softer, not so dark and cold. She was shorter than the others, and her movements were careful and gentle. She walked over to Timmy and knelt down so she was closer to his height. She didn't say anything, but she looked at him with eyes that seemed almost kind. Timmy looked back, his tears still fresh on his cheeks. She reached out slowly and touched his arm, her hand light and soft. Timmy didn't pull away. For a moment he felt like maybe she understood. The other two aliens watched her, but they didn't stop her. She pressed a small button on the wall, and the blue light turned off. The room became calmer. The pictures gone. The soft-eyed alien took out something from her belt, a small piece of food, something that looked like a cookie. She handed it to Timmy. He looked at the cookie, then back at her face. He was hungry, but he was also scared. The alien nodded. A small movement, almost like a smile. Timmy took the cookie and bit into it. It tasted sweet, almost like the cookies his mother made. He felt a small bit of comfort in that tiny bite. The gentle alien stood up and looked at the others. She said something in a soft, musical language. The other two aliens didn't argue, but they looked at Timmy again with their cold black eyes. Then they left the room, the door closing behind them with a soft sound. Timmy sat there, the cookie in his hand. The gentle alien stayed, sitting, across from him. She didn't say anything, just watched him with her soft eyes. Timmy felt a little safer with her there. He didn't know if she was a friend, but she wasn't like the others. He thought about his mother and father, about his warm bed and his small town. He didn't know how far away he was, but he promised himself he would find a way home. He looked at the gentle alien and whispered, "Please, help me." The alien tilted her head, her eyes sad. She didn't answer, but in that moment, Timmy felt like she had heard him. He didn't feel so alone anymore, even in that cold metal room far away. The stars shone in the endless dark. The ship moved silently through space, carrying the small boy farther from Earth. But in that quiet room, something small but strong was growing. A tiny bond, a tiny hope. Timmy held on to that hope, refusing to let it go. Zara walked slowly down the bright silver hallway of the spaceship. Her long fingers moved lightly over the walls, feeling the smooth metal. She had watched the boy, Timmy, since the moment they took him. Something about his small face, his scared eyes made her feel different. The other aliens didn't understand. They only saw a creature to study. But Zara saw a child who needed help. She reached the library room, a round space filled with bright screens and floating words in the alien language. Zara pressed a button and the screens lit up, showing old records and commands from long ago. She searched quickly, her heart beating fast. She had to know more about the humans. Why did the humans seem so different? Why did the boy's fear make her feel something she had never felt before? As she looked through the records, she found an old document. Its title glowed softly. The rule: never hurt a human child. Zara's eyes widened. She read the document carefully. It was written in a language so old that even she had to move slowly through the words. It spoke of a time long ago when the aliens had visited Earth before. There had been mistakes, terrible mistakes. The humans had fought back, and the aliens had almost been destroyed. They had learned that hurting a human child was the worst mistake they could make. The rule was clear: never harm a human child or face the fury of Earth. Zara felt a chill run down her spine. She knew the others wouldn't care. Zor, their leader, believed the old stories were just myths. He didn't care about old rules. He wanted to learn everything he could, no matter who got hurt. Zara's mind was full of worry. She thought of Timmy's small face, the way he tried to be brave. She couldn't let Zor hurt him. She closed the document and turned off the screens. She had to protect the boy. But how? She was just a scientist, not a fighter. She had never broken a rule before, but this time she had to. She left the library and walked quickly back to the room where Timmy sat. She found him sitting on the floor, hugging his knees. He looked up when she came in. His eyes were red from crying, but he didn't look away. Zara knelt down in front of him. She spoke in the alien language, soft and low. Timmy didn't understand the words, but he saw the kindness in her face. Zara touched her chest with her hand and then touched her head. "Zara," she said slowly. "My name." "Zara." Timmy looked at her, his lips trembling. "Timmy," he said in a small voice. Zara repeated it softly. "Timmy." A small smile touched her face. She reached out and took his small hand in hers. It felt warm and soft. She wished she could tell him everything, but she knew he wouldn't understand. She could only show him that she meant no harm. She squeezed his hand gently, and he squeezed back, just a little. Outside the room, Zor was talking to the other aliens. His voice was cold and sharp. "We will start the test tomorrow," he said. "We must learn everything about this human child." The other aliens nodded. They didn't care about the old stories or the warnings. They only cared about their mission. Zara stood up and looked at Timmy. She pressed her finger to her lips, telling him to stay quiet. She slipped out of the room and went back to the library. She needed to find a way to stop Zor. She searched through the old files again, looking for something, anything that could help her. Her hands moved fast over the glowing buttons. She found more old stories about the power of human love and the danger of human anger. She read about how children were special to humans, more precious than anything else. The more she read, the more she knew she had to protect Timmy. She felt a strange feeling in her chest, something like fear, but also hope. She wasn't sure what it was, but it made her stronger. She heard footsteps behind her. She turned and saw Zor standing in the doorway, his black eyes cold and hard. "Zara," he said slowly. "What are you doing here?" Zara felt her body go stiff. She tried to stay calm. "I was checking the old records," she said. "I wanted to know more about the humans." Zor stepped closer, his long fingers tapping against his side. "The old records are useless," he said. "We do not need to be afraid of these creatures. We are stronger, smarter. Tomorrow we will see what their bodies can teach us." Zara nodded, but inside, she felt sick. She knew she couldn't change Zor's mind. She had to find another way. She waited until he left. Then she went back to the small room where Timmy was. She knelt beside him and whispered softly, "I help you." Timmy looked at her with wide eyes. He didn't understand her words, but he felt the promise in her voice. Zara took a small piece of food from her pocket and gave it to him. "Eat," she said. Timmy ate slowly, his eyes never leaving her face. Zara reached out and gently touched his hair. She whispered again, "I help." In that moment, Timmy felt a small bit of hope. He didn't know how, but he believed her. He didn't feel so alone anymore. Above them, the ship kept moving through the dark sky. But in that small room, a bond was growing. Quiet, soft, and strong. The next morning, Timmy woke up to the soft hum of the spaceship. He didn't know how long he had slept. The room was still cold and quiet, but Zara was there. She was sitting beside him, watching him with her soft green eyes. Timmy felt a little safer with her there. He sat up slowly, rubbing his eyes. Zara gave him a small piece of fruit. It tasted sweet and fresh. Timmy ate it quickly. He was so hungry. Zara watched him with a small smile. "You are strong," she said in her soft voice. Timmy didn't understand the words, but he saw the kindness in her eyes. Zara stood up and walked to the door. She pressed a button and it opened with a soft hiss. She looked back at Timmy and held out her hand. Timmy hesitated for a moment, then took her hand. It felt warm and safe. She led him down the hallway, moving quietly. They passed other rooms, all silver and bright. Timmy saw other aliens working, their long fingers pressing buttons and moving screens. Zara didn't stop. She led him to a small room at the end of the hall. It was different from the others. There were small bags and tools on the floor, and a window that showed the stars outside. Timmy pressed his face to the glass. He had never seen stars like this before, so close and so bright. He felt very small, but also full of wonder. Zara knelt down beside him. She pointed to a small bag and then to him. "We leave," she said, her voice full of promise. Timmy didn't know how, but he nodded. He trusted her. She gave him a small silver coat and helped him put it on. It was warm and soft. She put another coat over her own thin body. She looked around the room and took a small black device from a shelf. She pressed a button and a soft blue light covered them. "Hide," she said. Timmy didn't understand, but he felt the light like a soft blanket. He looked at Zara's face and she nodded, telling him it was safe. Suddenly the door opened and Zor walked in. His black eyes looked around the room. He didn't see them at first. Timmy held his breath, his small hand tight in Zara's. Zor stepped closer, his long fingers touching the tools on the table. His voice was low and cold. "We start the tests now," he said. "Bring the human child to me." Zara didn't move. She stayed very still, the blue light hiding them like a ghost. Zor looked around once more, his eyes sharp and searching. Timmy felt his heart beat faster and faster, but then Zor turned and left the room, the door closing behind him. Zara let out a long breath. She looked at Timmy and smiled. "We go now," she said. She took his hand again and led him to a small door at the back of the room. It opened into a dark hallway that was quiet and empty. They moved quickly, their feet silent on the smooth floor. They reached a small room with a round window. Zara pressed her hand to the glass and it opened slowly, showing a small silver ship waiting outside. It was much smaller than the big spaceship, like a lifeboat. Zara turned to Timmy and put her hands on his shoulders. "Home," she said, her voice soft but strong. Timmy felt a small bit of hope grow in his heart. Zara helped him climb into the small ship. She pressed buttons quickly, her long fingers moving fast. The ship's lights turned on, soft and blue. The small ship hummed quietly, ready to leave. Timmy sat in a small seat, holding tight to the straps. He didn't know what would happen, but he trusted Zara. Outside, alarms suddenly rang out in the big spaceship. Red lights flashed and loud sounds filled the air. Zara's face turned serious. She pressed a button and the small ship's door closed with a soft sound. She looked at Timmy and nodded once. "Hold on," she said. The small ship shook as it pulled away from the big spaceship. Timmy's eyes were wide, his hands gripping the seat. The stars outside looked even closer now and the spaceship behind them looked big and dangerous. Zara kept pressing buttons, her face calm but her eyes full of worry. The small ship moved faster and faster. Timmy felt his stomach jump as they flew through the dark sky. He looked at Zara, her face lit by the soft blue light. She was brave, and he wanted to be brave too. Suddenly, a loud voice came through the speakers in the small ship. It was Azor's voice, cold and full of anger. "Return the human child," he said. "You are breaking the rule." Zara didn't answer. She just pressed another button, and the small ship flew faster, leaving the big spaceship behind. Timmy looked back through the window and saw the big ship shrinking into the distance. He felt a small bit of hope grow in his heart. He didn't know where they were going, but he knew he was safe with Zara. She looked at him and smiled, a small but real smile. "Almost home," she said softly. Timmy nodded and held on tight. The stars were bright and beautiful, and he felt a tiny spark of excitement in his chest. He didn't know what would happen next, but he knew one thing. He was not alone anymore, and that was enough to keep going. The small ship moved fast through the black sky. Timmy looked out the window, watching the stars rush past like shining rivers. His heart was still pounding from the sudden escape. Zara sat beside him, her eyes focused on the control panel, her fingers moving quickly over the buttons. Behind them, the big spaceship was not giving up. Its engines roared as it sent out smaller ships to chase them. Red lights flashed on Timmy's little ship's screen, warning of the incoming danger. "Zara, they are coming," Timmy said, his voice shaking. Zara didn't answer. She pressed more buttons, her face serious. "We must lose them," she said in her soft voice. "If they catch us, they will take you back." Timmy's hands clenched the seat. He didn't want to go back. Not after what he had seen. He trusted Zara, but he also felt scared. The chase had begun. The small ship dove down toward a nearby planet, its surface glowing faintly below them. Zara guided the ship through thick clouds and rough air. Timmy's stomach flipped as the ship shook from the turbulence. Suddenly, a group of the alien ships appeared behind them, their lights bright and dangerous. The chase was close. Zara's fingers flew over the controls. She fired small energy pulses at the ships, hoping to slow them down. Timmy watched as bright flashes lit the dark sky. One of the pursuers exploded in a ball of fire. Timmy gasped. "We can fight," Zara said quietly. "But we must be smart." The small ship zipped through narrow canyons and tall mountain peaks. The chase was a dangerous game. Timmy held his breath every time the ship missed a sharp turn. Zara stayed calm, but Timmy could see her eyes were tired. Suddenly, the ship's alarms beeped loudly. "Warning! Energy low," Zara said. "We don't have much time." Timmy looked around. They were near a dense forest on the planet's surface. Zara had an idea. "We hide," she said. "In the forest. The big ships can't follow us there." The small ship landed quickly in a clearing, hidden by tall trees. Timmy jumped out, breathing hard. The air smelled fresh and green. It was so different from the cold ship. Zara locked the ship's doors and looked around. "We rest now," she said. "Then we find help." Timmy sat on a rock, still shaking. He looked up at Zara. "Will they find us?" he asked. Zara smiled gently. "Maybe, but we are safe for now." Timmy felt a little better. He trusted Zara. She had saved him once. Maybe she could save him again. As they rested, Timmy thought about his home on Earth. He missed his parents, his friends, and the small town where he played. But he also knew he had to be brave. Zara was right. He was not alone. Suddenly, the trees rustled. Timmy stood up quickly. Zara moved in front of him, her body tense. From the shadows, small creatures appeared. They were strange animals, but not like the aliens. Their eyes were bright, and they moved carefully, curious but not afraid. Zara smiled. "Friends," she said softly. Timmy smiled too. Maybe on this strange planet he could find friends. Maybe with Zara's help he could find a way home. The chase was not over, but Timmy was ready to fight for his life, and for the secret rule that no one should ever hurt a human child. Timmy and Zara stayed hidden in the forest. The tall trees moved softly in the wind, and the small animals watched them with bright eyes. Timmy felt the fresh air fill his lungs. For a moment he forgot he was far from home, captured by aliens. Here the forest was quiet and safe. Zara looked at Timmy. "We need help," she said softly. "We can't fight the big ship alone." Timmy nodded. He didn't know much about fighting or spaceships, but he knew one thing. He wanted to get back home. Zara moved carefully through the trees, leading Timmy deeper into the forest. After a short walk, they reached a small village. It was strange. The houses were made from shining metal, but the people were not aliens like Zara and Zor. They were small, with soft skin and kind eyes. Zara called them the Forest Guardians. The Guardians welcomed Zara and Timmy. Their leader, a tall woman with silver hair, came forward. She looked at Timmy and smiled kindly. "You are safe here," she said in a calm voice. "The aliens do not come to our world often, but we know their secrets." Timmy looked up at Zara. She nodded. "We must find the secret weapon," Zara said. The Guardians led them to an ancient building in the middle of the village. Inside, old machines and glowing devices covered the walls. Zara's eyes shone with hope. "This is the place," she said. The leader explained, "Long ago, our ancestors fought the same aliens. They built a weapon to protect us and any human child in danger." Timmy looked at the strange machine in the center. It was small but powerful, glowing with bright blue light. Zara touched the machine carefully. "This can stop Zor's ship," she said, "but we need to bring it aboard your ship." Timmy felt a surge of hope. "We can use it?" he asked. Zara nodded. "Yes, but first we must get back to the ship." The Guardians prepared a small group to help. They gave Zara and Timmy special cloaks that could hide them from alien sensors. Timmy put on his cloak, feeling invisible. The journey back to the ship was tense. The forest was quiet, but Timmy felt eyes watching them. Zara held his hand tightly. They moved quickly and quietly, careful not to make any noise. When they reached the small ship, Zara opened the door and brought the secret weapon inside. The machine fit perfectly on the control panel. Zara connected wires and pressed buttons. The blue light grew stronger, filling the cabin with energy. Suddenly, the alarms on the ship started to beep loudly. The big spaceship was near. Zor's voice came through the speaker again, cold and angry. "You cannot hide. Return the human child." Zara pressed the final button. The secret weapon activated. A powerful shield covered the small ship, making it invisible to the big ship's sensors. Timmy watched as the big ship searched for them but couldn't find the small ship. "We're safe," Zara said with a smile. Timmy smiled too. For the first time, he felt that maybe they could win this fight. The secret weapon was their hope. A new chance to protect the rule that no one should ever hurt a human child. As the small ship moved silently through space, Timmy looked out the window, at the stars. He didn't know what dangers waited ahead, but with Zara and the secret weapon, he was ready to face them all. The battle was far from over, but Timmy felt stronger. He was no longer just a scared boy. He was a fighter, and the aliens would learn that some rules were not meant to be broken. The small ship moved quietly through space, hidden by the secret weapon's shield. Timmy sat beside Zara, feeling both scared and brave. He looked out the window and saw the big spaceship coming closer and closer. Zor's voice came through the speakers again, cold and angry. "You cannot hide forever. Give me the human child." "Zara, it is the law of our mission." Zara pressed buttons quickly. "This is not your law, Zor. There is a rule you forget. Never hurt a human child." Timmy watched her face. She was strong and sure. He felt hope growing inside him. Suddenly, red lights flashed on the control panel. The big spaceship fired bright beams of energy. The small ship shook and rattled, but the shield held strong. Zara's hands moved fast. "We must fight back," she said. She activated the secret weapon. A powerful blue beam shot out from the small ship. It hit the big spaceship's shield, making sparks fly. The aliens on the big ship shouted and moved quickly to protect their ship. The battle had begun. Timmy held tightly to his seat. He looked at Zara's calm face. "We can do this," she said softly. The small ship dodged the big ship's attacks. Zara flew fast and smart, using the secret weapon's power to protect them. Timmy felt like he was on a wild ride through the stars. Suddenly, Zor's ship sent out smaller fighters. They surrounded the small ship, firing energy blasts from all sides. Zara pressed more buttons. The secret weapon sent out a strong pulse. The small fighters exploded one by one, their metal breaking in bright flames. Timmy cheered softly. "We're winning." But the fight was not over. The big spaceship fired a giant energy beam. It was huge and dangerous. The small ship shook violently. Timmy closed his eyes, feeling scared. Zara didn't give up. She pressed the biggest button on the control panel. The secret weapon glowed brighter than ever before. A strong shield wrapped around the small ship, protecting it from the giant beam. The beam hit the shield but could not break through. The big ship shook, and Zor's angry voice shouted through the speakers. "This is not over," he said. "You will never escape," Zara smiled. "Maybe not, but you will never hurt Timmy." The small ship flew faster and faster, away from the big spaceship. Timmy looked back one last time. The big ship was damaged but still dangerous. Zara held Timmy's hand. "We're safe for now," she said. Timmy smiled. He was tired, but happy. He had faced the danger and won with Zara's help. Together, they flew toward the stars, ready for whatever came next. The rule was clear: no one could hurt a human child, and Timmy was proof. The battle had been hard, but it was only the beginning. The universe was big, and the adventures were just starting. Timmy was ready, and so was Zara. The small ship flew through space faster than Timmy had ever imagined. The stars outside shone like diamonds, lighting their path home. Timmy sat quietly, still holding Zara's hand. He felt tired but safe. Zara looked at him and smiled. "We are almost home," she said softly. Timmy's heart beat faster. After all the fear and danger, he would see his family again. He thought about his small town, the green fields, and the sound of children laughing. Suddenly, the ship's screen showed Earth coming closer. Blue and green, bright and beautiful. Timmy's eyes filled with tears. "Home," he whispered. But the journey was not over. As they neared Earth's orbit, alarms beeped loudly. Warning, Zara said. We are not alone. Outside, a new spaceship appeared. It was not like Zor's ship. It was smaller and looked peaceful. Timmy felt confused but curious. A voice came through the speakers. Zara, we have been tracking the situation. You may land safely. We will protect the human child. Zara nodded. Thank you, she said. The small ship descended slowly, passing through Earth's atmosphere. Timmy felt the wind rush past him as they landed gently near his town. His parents were waiting. They had been looking for him every day, hoping and praying. When they saw Timmy step out, they ran to him with tears and hugs. Timmy looked up at Zara. Thank you, he said quietly. Zara smiled and waved goodbye. Remember the rule, she said softly. No one hurts a human child. Then she stepped back into her ship and flew away into the stars. Timmy's parents took him home. The town was safe again, but Timmy knew something had changed. He was stronger now. He had seen strange worlds and brave friends. At night, when he looked up at the stars, he remembered Zara and the secret weapon. He knew the universe was big, full of dangers and wonders, but he also knew he was not alone. The rule was clear: never hurt a human child. And Timmy would live to tell the story. The stars shone bright, and the adventure had only just begun.